Alright everyone, it's time for a celebratory clank. Of course, yes, this is actual coffee this morning. I forgot to get energy drinks the other day, much to my dismay. So I had to do double strength coffee. Nice black coffee. This time I added more sugar to it. I figured I needed the extra buzz. Anyway, this is really great news. Pat Leahy, Vermont senator for almost 50 fucking years, he is retiring. He will not seek re-election. Oh boy, is that bad for the Democrats. Not because they're going to lose the Senate seat. After all, Vermont is far blue, although it has been moving a little bit in the other direction. And, you know, if down-ballot races are getting affected, it would be really funny to see what the margins are compared to having your long-term incumbent who enjoys reasonably high approval in a state like Vermont, which is basically the blue bellwether other than California. It's the East Coast California at this point, almost. I don't know, New York's more urban, demographically similar to California. Vermont's got the hippie-trippy thing, the same as like maybe the San Francisco area though, so it's basically San Francisco, but costs a little bit less and more guns. And of course there's nature. No earthquakes. Yeah, Vermont's great compared to California, never mind. Pat Leahy has been in office since before I was born. To be clear, this is one of the dysfunctions within the Democratic Party. The dude's, God, I think he's in his mid-80s, so at some point you're like, well, a Senate term's 6 years. Am I even going to serve the fucking term out? No, I think that I'd rather go and retire to one of my many homes because, of course, if you're a long-term senator, and Leahy was one of the top-ranking Dem senators for a very long time because he's got that long-term incumbency, you got a lot of money. I don't know his net worth. Vermont politicians tend to grift a little bit less than, like, the California elite liberals do, but even Bernie Sanders, who hates wealthy people and once railed against millionaires, even he's worth more than $1 million and has a second home and a lake cabin at this point, so Leahy's probably got a nice farmhouse somewhere where he can smoke weed, and it'd be funny. And another thing is it'll be funny to see what he does post-politics. I'm sure he'll keep weighing in on them, but he's not seeking a re-election. So another globaloid neocon swamp creature, and that's what he is, who is woefully outdated, probably doesn't even know how to make a fucking tweet on his own, is leaving office. As a Vermonter, I see that as positive. Again, though, while I can't help but cheer the news, I'm not a fan of Pat Leahy. I think I'd like Bernie Sanders more than him. Pat Leahy is more on the globaloid side of things. Bernie Sanders only more recently sold out and became a millionaire and started saying, well, yes, open borders, I know that I railed against them for years, but now they're okay because it's politically inconvenient for me to say otherwise. To prop up the U.S. working class would be politically hazardous in this current Democratic Party environment where people have taken socialism maybe a little bit too far. They're misunderstanding the message of workers of the world unite. Pat Leahy, who I can't do an impression of, sadly, is not like that. He's on the more corporate, cutthroat politician side, friend of Pelosi, etc. Sanders more the outsider. I think he's the lesser senator. Now, is Bernie going to seek re-election, by the way? I think they're roughly the same age, aren't they? Once you've lost 2 presidential campaigns in the primaries against Biden, of all people, the second time around, don't you think that it's time for you to listen to your good friend Pat Leahy and just retire? Go eat Ben & Jerry's. Go eat your corporate sellout fucking globaloid ice cream. I'm happy. Archived link in the description, of course, to the story. But I can't imagine that what replaces him will be any better. If anything, I would imagine that the Justice Dem types might try to come out of left field, knowing, of course, Vermont has a lot of far leftists. It has a large progressive caucus, etc. Progressive, of course, their term, not a real one. They might try to AOC him. That is, he leaves, even if he endorses like a neoliberal or quasi, like an Elizabeth Warren missing link liberal replacement, they may attempt to primary out in favor of getting someone further left. By the way, I hope that happens. I'll tell you why. It would be wonderful if the Justice Dems target this seat. Because the more leftoids in the Democratic Party, the more impossible it is for the neoliberals to use their globalist agenda thing. All 7 of the geek squatters in the House voted against the infrastructure agreement because it wasn't bloated enough. Well, what better way to hamstring the Democratic Party? I hope the leftoids take this Senate seat and start raising problems in the Senate like they have been in the House. I wish them luck. I hope that there are more leftists actually in Congress this next term than there are currently by a fairly significant margin. There's still a tiny minority within the Dem Party, but when you've got 50-50 style politics, especially in the Senate, it can still lock things up. And then the leftoids will make the bill incapable of passing because they don't understand how the filibuster works. You can't lose. So I think, while Leahy is probably going to be replaced by a globalistic neo-leftoid, it might be replaced by a socialist. What better place than Vermont? You've already got one socialist sitting senator. Why not have two? Why not continue to be the weird, wacky-ass state? The Republicans might sense some blood in the water and say, well, the Democrats right now are suffering malaise. You've got a down-ballot dragging president with, near 40% approval at this point. Disapproval inching up towards 55. We might be able to pull this off. After all, Vermont has become actually a little bit less blue over the last few cycles. It's sort of like, oddly enough, New Jersey. Certainly Maine. New Hampshire oddly refuses that. New Hampshire has stayed pretty much the 50-50 bellwether, despite initially starting off leaning slightly to the red side, along with Iowa, which went in the other direction and now is double digits for the Republicans. Be interesting, in theory, because of Vermont politics being the way they are, an independent candidacy could work. Now, some people have said, well, Sticks, you could run for the Senate. There are several problems with that. Number one, I've decided if I ever got into politics, it'd be local. It'd be like mayor of Rutland or something. That way I can stay close to home. The furthest I'd be willing to go is to Montpelier, maybe seek the lieutenant governor's position, 20 years from now. I would never want to seek national level politics because I'd have to go to D.C. I want to go to D.C., It's a big city. It's overrun with crime. It's full of lawyers. It's full of politicians. I'd be near Joe Biden at this point. No thanks. I don't want to have to smell his diaper remnants. So that would never happen. And secondly, because I've been in the Netherlands for a protracted period, I don't know that the technical residency requirement, even if I'm technically still a resident of Vermont, have to pay Vermont state taxes, etc., get my mail there, hang my hat there for various legal and economic purposes, I don't know that under Vermont's particular statutes I'd even qualify at the moment. I think you have to spend several years non-stop physically residing there, as opposed to simply residing in every other sense of the term. But even if I could, I wouldn't seek the position. I wouldn't win anyway. The Democrats have like a 99% chance of retaining it. I'm not going to turn into a Democrat magically overnight. See, I'm not going to be like a Democrat. It would actually make me the best Democrat if I joined the party just to win a position, because most of them don't have any principles. But I think that they would look online and they would probably understand, hey, this time the grift is truly real, and I don't think that this dude authentically suddenly decided that he supported gun control and higher taxes for people that make more than $10 in a year. I think this might be disingenuous. Oh, what a good Democrat. Yeah, we should definitely put him in the primary. No thanks. I wouldn't run as a Republican either. I'd run as an independent. It'd be a write-in campaign. Remember that a few years ago I jokingly made a video saying I was going to run for the governor of Vermont, and I mean it was never serious because of campaign finance laws, and the fact that I get foreign donations would be problematic. I got 16 votes because I made a YouTube video, so there is some wiggle room. I've thought about launching a nationwide write-in campaign and just saying, hey, write in my name for literally every protest vote, and I may end up mayor of some small town in Oklahoma or something like that. Who knows? Look at what Edward Durr did. He didn't expect to win. He made one fucking video on a cell phone. He managed to knock off the number 2 Senate Dem in New Jersey, causing chaos there. We've got strange political times right now, and the internet certainly does make it easier to mount that sort of campaign, but for Senate, no. Not in a million years. Governor would be a stretch. You have to move to like the Montpelier area or commute. Try commuting an hour each day on Vermont's roads. You'd have to, I'd be bored to tears. Yeah, let me drive I have to drive 10 hours every week with Bidenflation affecting the fuel prices. You're going to need to increase the governor's salary before you're going to get me to go for that. Again, if I entered politics, it would be local. Anything else would likely be, like I said, a joke write-in campaign, or just a meme campaign. You may end up winning anyway. It'd be funny. You end up elected councilor or something like that in Alaska, and then you have to move into an igloo. I have thought about it, but absurdism goes a long way towards fulfilling my particular political needs as well. I'm just happy to see old Pat finally retire. It's like, you're one of the few people that gets to that age, especially among legislatures, that isn't demented. Leahy is not clearly cognitively impaired. Pelosi is. Biden is. I think he can make an exception for Schumer, and that's basically the only other one. Leahy's still got his wits about him. Maybe you should go and enjoy a few years of rest and relaxation. Go swimming. Play with the great-grandkids, I think, that he has at this point. Reminisce about the old days, literally in his case, getting elected not long after segregation ended. Just go and do your thing. And at least once he's out of office, can't do any more official damage. And then he'll be a nice guy. Obama, great example as well. He leaves, terrible president. I'll give him a 3 out of 10 to be generous. He did a couple of things that I agreed with, including doing the opposite of what Biden is doing to the fuel industry, by the way. Shh, none of the liberals know this. But once he leaves office, other than making some strange tweets and giving the occasional Donald Trump is evil interview, he hasn't really done anything in politics. He's more likely to go dance with Ellen DeGeneres. Well, at least you're enjoying yourself at the Hawaiian pig roast. That's about all. Peace out.